Hello, today we're going to talk about the coding and scoring for the errors of the students when you are reading with them to find their accuracy. And so as a student is reading, I just let them read the words until they have an error or a self-correction. So I know here it looks like you're supposed to put a check mark. I think it's kind of confusing, but it says do not mark or place a check above word. So if they're reading the words correctly, you're just going to let them go. You do not need to mark the words. Substitution. So if the student reads a word and for that specific word says a different word, you do want to put a line above that word and then quickly write the word that they said or substituted in for that specific word. Here's some examples if they do multiple substitutions. I just kind of write small so I can get that all in there. Now, if they substitute the word but then self-correct it, then you want to write an SC. And there is no, this is not considered an error, or the two above here are considered an error, so you would score this as an error when you are scoring for the accuracy. But self-corrections are not an error. If the student does insert a word, that is also an error, and you can use like a little caret. If the student omits the word, they have a line and then a little line above it. I write an O for omitted, and that is also an error. If the student does some repeating, that is not an error. So you can just write an R above what they repeated. If they do some rereading, that is not an error. But here you can see that looks like she did a self-correction with the, let's see, it says write R with an arrow back to the place where rereading began and an SC at the point of the self-correction. That is also not an error. I don't really worry about this appeal, write an A above the word. I write teacher told, TT, if that kind of helps you. That's just an easier way for me, but you can also use the error or use the A. I guess no, you wouldn't because this says it's not an error. So I'm sorry, let me just reread this. Verbally asked for help, write an A above the word, followed up with you try it. Okay, so that's if the student, I guess, asks for help and then they try it. I don't know about that one, I'm sorry. If you tell the student the error or the word, that's an error. Let's just admit this whole appeal thing. Here it is, where you told it. So I know that they have, I don't understand how you can put all these lines in with the words. So if I've told the student, a teacher told the student the word, they're just really having a hard time, I write a T above it, or TT, teacher told, and then it is an error. So I would just, this appeal and you try it, this really doesn't happen too much as you're reading. They're either omitting the word or they're waiting for you to tell them the word or they're substituting for a different word is the majority of the errors that I have come across. I have had kids sounding it out. So you can just kind of look at that. Again, if they sound it out and the word is incorrect, it is an error. But if they do sound it out and it is correct, it is not an error. I hope that helps. Make sure that you use this coding system. I know that everyone is different, but just do your best. It'll just help us determine what intervention is necessary for the student.